Hey guys, Dan Hood, Big DH 2000 here. I believe I did a starting video on this sometime back. Vishu gave me this knife to retrofit for him a few months back, maybe even a year now. Let me put this in the case it originally came in. Okay, this was a knife that his grandfather, I believe, used. His grandfather was in the military, and if you see, it's very well made with silver things that hold it together, but you can see that there's been some damage because the wood was so thin and just probably dropped once or twice. The tip of the blade was bent, so I had to fix that. But if you look carefully, I suspect there's some leather missing, and then this probably allowed it to be, the leather strapped it to a belt in some way, shape, or form, and this attached either to a pocket or another strap around the leg, so that the knife stayed pretty stationary. Who knows? It might have even gone in a belt loop, with another belt loop over here and set in the back, for removal. Put this back here. The tip of the blade was in bad shape. It had been bent and whatnot, so I did my best to straighten it, cold straighten it. I didn't want to change any of the heat treatment. It's not perfect, but I didn't want to bang it anymore. And then I just took the dirt off of it. And as I told Vishu, you can clean it up really nice, fancy, flashy, but that, I don't know, that just doesn't feel right. Because if you look at this, the beauty of this blade is, if you look down it, you'll see scratches from where his grandfather sharpened it on a stone in the field, probably. There's scratches on both sides, and I told him you don't want to erase that, because the knife itself probably doesn't have much value except sentimental. It's like a family heirloom. The normal person won't pay much for it, but to the family it's priceless. And this is actually a real bone handle. I don't believe it's ivory. It's not tusk or anything, but it's definitely bone, and it seems to have a lot of Pakistani influence or Gurkha influence on it, if you look at it, which doesn't surprise me because it's Indian military. A lot of their knives lean towards Gurkha knives. There was really no saving this case, and I told Vishu that, but I did kind of reassemble it because it had fallen into several pieces, and I lightly glued these two silver pieces on so that they wouldn't slide. And I asked him, did he want a leather sheath or wooden, and he said a wooden. So I made it kind of bulky because this is going to become a display knife, not a regular everyday carry. Okay. First of all, I'm not so sure how pleased they'd be here in the U.S. of you carrying the knife this long in the thing. But anyway, making a wood sheath is not easy in this manner. You basically have two half pieces. You carve until you get it to where the knife fits. Then you glue it together. And of course, this is a press fit knife as well too. You don't want it falling out. Okay, so it's very snug. And then once you get the two pieces glued together, you shave down the rest. Now, several things. This is Indian teak, which makes it, Vishu would understand what that means, but Indian knife seems like Indian teak is the wise place to do it. There's a lot of family history in this teak from my family that you've heard me talk about before. The crate we came back from India with was built out of solid teak, or built out of teak, and we've used that ever since. I created a stand. Okay, now here's the tricky part about a stand. Okay, this knife surprisingly has a lot of heft to it, a lot of weight. Okay, so let me set it down here so you can see it, which means the base needs to be pretty heavy, otherwise it starts tipping, turning, all kinds of things. This is some sapele I had, okay? for those who know, sapele is incredibly heavy and incredibly strong. It's basically the strongest member of the mahogany family. Okay, so I pulled that out and I grabbed some oak. So see, you know, Vishu obviously comes from the general India, Bangladesh area. Okay, so the Indian teak and the wood knife, but he's also been in the U.S. for a lot of years. His kids don't really know much other than the U.S., so it seemed only fitting that I did a combination of a little bit of India and a little bit of the United States or America. So we got oak from the U.S., okay? We've got sapele from the U.S. It just kind of, but anyway, it's just kind of, you know, trying to make it more, you know, personal to Vishu. I had to make slots in here to hold the old sheath because the old sheath was very important to him as well. I asked, do you want to keep it or do you want me to just throw it away and start over? And he said that. And then, you know, I made something that'll hold the knife. Now, one thing you learn as you make, especially holders like this for knives, I personally like it so that the knife comes out really easily, okay? Like that, okay? Some people make it really hard pressed to where you have to hold the base down to pop it out because it's so tight. I'm not a fan of those myself, so I made this nice and loose. It just, you know, can sit on a shelf. There's only one problem. When you make it loose, then you can see the knife might shift around a lot or slide a lot. A little secret that I've always done, which you guys, I'll show you right now. You'll notice there's a little piece of leather in this one slot, okay? That piece of leather, okay, now watch. See how I really have to push hard to get it to move at all, okay? And if I push from this end or I grab from this end, it doesn't move at all, okay? And that's just a little trick of mine. Set this all up, but anyway, time to send this back to Vishu. I hope he appreciates it and enjoys it. And like I said, could I have gone and cleaned the daylights out of this and shined it up and sanded all the blemishes out of it? Of course. But why? I mean, that, to me, that takes away from all the love that this knife has seen and the use it's seen and the fact that it probably fed his grandfather a few times when he caught small game and had to clean it, and when he had to think. And you can also tell when you look at the knife, my guess is that the original used to come out here or so, and it's just seen years and years of use. And you can see right here, if you look carefully, you can see the scratches where a stone was used to sharpen it. Now, don't get me wrong, it is sharp. I sharpened it, okay? But I just sharpened the edge, and then after I sharpened the edge, I ran it gently on a buffing wheel to just give it a patina again so it doesn't look brand new. Now, that being said, every time you use a wood sheath, a little bit of the sheath comes off on the blade, so you always have to wipe the blade after you, well, if you're using it for defense reasons, don't bother, but if you're using it for any kind of other reason, just wipe the blade gently with a cloth or, you know, with your fingers on the edge and go at it, okay? That's it, guys. Just something unusual I worked on, and I thought you guys would enjoy it. Take care.